Okay, so in my death, there are things like pop that I haven't even released yet. Right? So if something happens to me, there are a group of people that know, all right, here's all the videos he did that he never released. Here are workbooks that he never released, right? So that takes it away from being personality driven to if something happens to me, the brand can live without ET. Does that make sense? All right, and then number 4, diversify, right? So because you do education, now I need you to connect yourself with people who don't do education but do what they do at a very high level, all right, to inspire you. So I'll give you an example. That conversation I had with Warren Buffett, like being one of 30 men who sat in the room with Warren Buffett, right, and being a high school dropout, living in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans, like being able to be in the room with Warren Buffett. We have absolutely nothing in common. At that time, he was the 4th richest man in the world. I probably hadn't even made my first million by that time. We had nothing in common. But diversity, being in a room with a giant, I remember leaving that room and saying to myself, I don't want to just be a speaker anymore. I want to be a businessman. And so from that time, I'm now have equity in a solar company. I have equity in real estate. I have equity in a consulting firm, right? And I'm teaching my children to be entrepreneurs, right? Still go get the degree. If you want to work in that field, that's fine. My daughter wants to be a social worker. Everybody's telling her there's no money in social work. No, there's no money for you in social work, right? Don't tell her that. That's not work. There is money in social work. It's just not for you in the way you're doing it, right? But I'm going to give her a company, and if you blow up from that company, you want to do social work on the side, you can do social work. As a matter of fact, I've created a tool that allows her to consult, and she can do social work simultaneously because she's dealing with people. So the final one is diversify. Don't just hang out with people in your industry. Hang out with people who are killing it in other industries, so that passion, that drive, those skill sets, that you can pick that up from those people as well. Does that make sense? You do those 4 things, I promise you, you will not be personality driven. You will be brand driven. And make sure you have a phenomenal marketing team. Because a lot of it is not, like, I don't necessarily know that I'm the best speaker in the world, but I do know that as it relates to marketing, I reach more people than anybody has ever reached in the social media marketing. I don't care if it's Tony Robbins, Les Brown, the late great Zig Ziglar. Nobody has had the impact on social media and the millennials like I did. And so you need your marketing team is just as important. The product is great, but the machine that's driving that is just as important. It may be more important than the product, because without Carl, nobody knows who I am.
Yep.
If we didn't record the Guru story, if it wasn't mic'd up, if they didn't cut it, edit it, put the music with it, you may not even know who Eric Thomas is today. So that marketing, or that engine as a whole, is just as important. And in a lot of you in this room, you keep hearing content is king. It is. But you need a vehicle and a machine and an engine to drive that content. And so I believe that they're equally as important. Great question.